welcome to Authortubers React. Today, two of my co-hosts are here, and hopefully we'll have a Barrett and a Charliee when they get off of work. Um, and Zara's not feeling well, so we hope that Zara does feel better soon. We're going to go ahead and do some quick introductions, and then we will dive right in. We have a couple of topics for today. So we're going to start. Des, Esther, and we'll swing it back over to me. Go ahead. Take it away, Des.
Sounds good, friends. Hello, I'm Desiree M. Ortega. You can find me on YouTube under Coffee Reading Writing. I post weekly videos there. Wednesdays, I stream Mondays from 8 p.m. Eastern, right by the moon live streams. And you can find me on Ko-fi under Desiree M. Ortega and most social medias. And I'm also on Twitch where I stream Tuesday through Saturdays, twitch.tv/Desiree M. Ortega.
And hi, I'm Esther Marie Andujar. I am a Puerto Rican writer aspiring to be a hybrid author. I am also the author of Marina the Vampire, which is a serialized paranormal romance available through Kindle Vella, Patreon, and Coffee. And I'm also on Twitch. I'm streaming tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern for a few hours. And then what else do I have? Check my community tab. I'm constantly checking the calendar because I really don't know where the heck am I. So I'm like, I'm glad I did this because this is my guy for April.
Nice.
Yeah. And you're on my channel. I'm Nia the Vixen of Fiction. I stream on Tuesday nights here on YouTube at 7 with Sprint. We do scripting the book. This month we're talking about Bullet Train, the book and the movie. So you can come hang out with us for that. Richard's going to be a guest host on the 16th for that one. And we've got coming up Crazy Rich Asians, Shadow and Bone, Game of Thrones. We have a lot coming up. We've got some big, huge reads. You don't have to read it all. It's just as much as you can read or watch if you want to. And then we'll talk about it. And yeah, I'm on Twitch on Mondays and Friday, every Monday and Friday, but usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. And then Sunday late nights, hopefully be doing some watch parties coming up. So about 8:30 on Sunday nights. And that's me. I'm a mom. I'm a Loki mom, and I write stuff. Yeah. And we have a lot of friends that have come by. Amy is on the other side of the world, so she's going to try and wake up and join us. Richard is here, which is late. I know. Hello. And Ty is here. Cat Pot is here. Hello. JC is here. Elise, hi. Good to see you. Hello, Katie. Good to see you too. Regina, absolutely adore you. Lots of people saying hi and talking to each other in the chat, which we like to see it. Make sure I don't miss anybody. We've got Cool Gamer here. Eva is here. Hello, friends. Bonnie is here. Victoria is here. Esther was in the chat doing double duty. I was late. No, you're just in time. Yeah, so guys, thank you guys for joining us. We aren't going to be too terribly long. I'll probably just go for about an hour, but we do have a couple of topics that we're going to talk about today. Oh, we're doing Bullet Train on your birthday. Cool.
Hey.
Cool. So our two topics for today. First, I'm sure you guys have heard about the article, Brandon Sanderson is your God. Like, we're going to talk about that. And then what do authors owe the readers, books, series, and life? And I got this idea from iWriterly did she did a video.
I think it was a podcast.
It was a podcast, and I was like, very
interesting
it was a question. I think it was, but they might have done like a video podcast, but because I saw it on YouTube. But I thought it was a very interesting question, so I will pose the question to you guys in the chat and to my guests. But let's go ahead because it's a little bit detailed. And I want to make sure we get through it. We're going to start with the Wired article by a guy named Jason called "Brandon Sanderson is Your God," and it was a very I can't even call it an interesting take, but I think it was meant to be a serious article. And from the beginning, it started out interesting. He was curious about the Kickstarter. I think a lot of people were very interested in about the Kickstarter. So the article starts out that way, and he goes into the office and he's asking everybody, "What do you think about this Brandon Sanderson guy doing like the biggest Kickstarter ever and making all this money?" And they're like, "Who?" And from there, the article just kind of like goes downhill, in my opinion, because it's just like it's almost like just a hate piece, and it's like not a good take, dude. Not a good take. So you guys read the article or read clips of the article or
Clips.
clips?
Clips. Personally, I read clips and then saw a few videos on the subject itself.
Yeah. And Esther, I think Esther said she has it pulled up. And I have a couple of reviews, people who kind of like went through the actual article, because Brandon Sanderson did respond and he said, don't go over there and looking for Jason and sending Jason hate. The most gracious response I think you could possibly ask for. So he's talks about the 55 million. I'm going to be looking down because I've got the clips of the article on my phone, so that way I can read it. And he says, nobody had the first clue who or what I was talking about. So he's like really wondering why nobody knows who this guy is. And is it because none of his works have been adapted? Because some other Mormon, he really has a thing with the LSD and the Mormons, because he talks about these other writers and he's like, what is the deal? And I feel like if that's the article that you wanted to write, because then you should have wrote that article instead of making this a hit piece on Brandon Sanderson of all people. Like,
and just attacking every area he could about every little thing. It was a melting pot of just whatever he could attack. he went in for. And
it's like early on in the introduction, he's like, which makes sense, Sanderson is extremely Mormon, as if that is the reason for his popularity as a fantasy writer. I'm like, so from the beginning, I'm like, where is this guy going with this article? It was the whole beginning, the whole take was just so bizarre. And it almost seemed to me like, I don't know if he was upset that Sanderson had the biggest Kickstarter, but it seemed like he was just very sounds petty. Like, that's what it sounded like. Like he didn't get it, he didn't understand why, and it was just a very kind of petty hit piece.
Like he's angry that this random man was successful at something. It was like,
it read to me because I did read the article. I'm like rereading some pieces to kind of like remind myself. Because it started with him criticizing Sanderson's books, which is fair that he is a writer, those are his product, and the products are there for you to consume and to decide if you like it, if you're meh, or if you hate it. Like, that is fair game. But then he started going about his, like, Sanderson's wife and his in-laws and his staff, and then he goes kind of like after his fans, and I'm like, we are not deviating, we took a hard left turn and we are like fumbling into something that I still don't know where he wanted to get.
Yeah, because he didn't get there. Wherever he was trying to go, I don't feel like he got there. And the funny thing is that in the article, he's basically says that Sanderson is lame and boring. He'll start to talk about what they were talking about, and he's like, well, that was boring, so I'm not going to talk about the things that we actually talked about, and instead goes, and I'm like, that is actually the stuff when talking about the world building. That's what Sanderson likes to talk about: the world building, the writing, all of that stuff. And the guy who's writing the article is like, that stuff's lame, that stuff's boring, and he doesn't want to write about it, I guess. So he just clumps it all into this lame, boring category, and then goes off to talk about insulting his ill-fitted jacket and its graphic tees, instead of talking about the things that they actually talked about.
And I think that's one of the reasons he doesn't understand why Branderson is as successful as he is, because Branderson is so passionate about writing and the craft and world building and creating these worlds and creating series and creating an entire universe where multiple books can be in. People that like those things will get attracted to his stories, or just his whatever he puts out there that has that kind of thing. Like Eva says, she's not attracted to his book, but he's a down-to-earth, interesting writer who talks about his craft. Like he has the podcast with, I forget the other author, and I don't read any of the other authors' books, but they are super interesting. They have very interesting conversations, very wacky conversations, and I'm like, this is cool. Like, I may not spend money on your books, but I am definitely giving you some kind of money with my views. So I think this journalist, if we can call it that, doesn't understand that there's plenty of people in the world who like those things and are very much within their rights to spend money on it.
And here's the thing, the subtitle of this article is that supposedly he's the biggest writer in the world, but he's also very Mormon. These things are profoundly related. How in the world does one have to do with the other? And if you're actually doing your job as a journalist and you're writing about, I mean, one thing has nothing to do with the other,
right,
at all. And so the fact that that's what he made the core of supposedly the title of this article to be is nonsense.
Well,
really.
he bases on something that he learned about the religion, which is about making heaven on earth kind of thing. I'm trying to find the actual quote. And kind of like be a godly like person on earth. And this is why he's basing that they are related, because in Branderson's world, he is the god. And I'm like, every writer is the god of their book. Like, excuse me, I'm not a Mormon, but I'm the god of my books. And I'm also the god of my stream, so. I am plenty godly in plenty places, and I am not a Mormon, so.
We play God as writers. That is exactly what we do. We create people, we create circumstances, we create lives and worlds and things, and like we play God as writers. That's what we do.
Do I have a God complex? Not really. Do I enjoy being a god? Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that in Sanderson's response, he even says, I don't know exactly how I worded that, but he said that they did get on that subject, and it's weird because Sanderson probably was thinking in the same vein that we think of it, but because we don't actually get the entirety of the quote, we don't have any context for it. And this is how Jason wrote a lot of this article. We don't get a lot of the context for anything, or a lot of Sanderson's actual answers or the actual conversations that they had. We get that, we get Jason's experience, not necessarily the interactions, like what was said in any kind of actual detail or anything that I would find interesting. Like, this is just, it's not interesting to me the way that he wrote it, because when I come in, I'm looking for an article about Brandon Sanderson and his writing and how he thinks he became successful and all that stuff. And the criticisms are legit. Like, My shelves up here, there's Brandon Sanderson, N.K. Jemisin, and Leigh Bardugo. The reason why I'm a big fan of theirs is not because of their prose, even though N.K. Jemisin does have amazing prose. But my fan of them because of their world building. I absolutely love world building. I love the way that they've created these massive worlds that are just so well detailed, and the Cosmere is one of them. And Leigh Bardugo's, her world spreads over 3 different book series where they all kind of entwine together. And so that's what I'm a fan of. Not necessarily Leigh Bardugo's prose, but I don't need good prose to enjoy a book. I want to go on an adventure. So these are things that all 3 of these writers have done, including Brandon Sanderson. And if I'm going to say who has the best prose of them, I would say, N.K. Jemisin has the best prose, followed by Leigh Bardugo. And they're not perfect. And then Brandon Sanderson. But even he says that he doesn't have the best prose. But it depends on, as a reader, what you're going in for. If you want that big world, that magic system, if you want a Cosmere type world, you're gonna have a good time. And
arguably you will want your prose to be almost invisible, so it will be like an easier path to get into the adventure and to put yourself in the world. Because I don't think I would imagine such a vast world building with such a purple prose, because it's just going to be constantly fighting with each other. It's like, what will be the attention? The way a sentence is constructed, or the way the culture that we're talking about is constructed?
Exactly. And in fact, when I read a fantasy book that's overly purpley pro-y, I usually don't get through them. They're usually the bottom, not my favorites. I read one last year that is like a bestseller, and I read it, and a lot of other fantasy readers read it, and we were like, I hate this book. And I'm like, oh my God, me too. I really don't like it. The plot didn't go anywhere. And as someone who that's what I'm reading for, you can tell me it's a futuristic sci-fi, but if I don't have any of the elements that I want in a futuristic sci-fi, and it's all poetry, I'm just like, ooh, that is not what I came to read this thick book for. Like, I can read poetry in small amounts, but that's just me. Obviously, it was a bestseller, so someone loved it like that. So people are coming in reading these books for different reasons. M.K. Jemisin is one of the first ones where I was like, the prose are very good, and it didn't take me out of this big, huge 3-book series. Do you know what I mean? That I thought that was excellent that she was able to do that. Most writers can't, because the prose, when it gets too purpley, it does kind of take away from the adventure.
Personally, same. It pulls me out.
So I did found the section where he uses the Mormon religion to tie in the title. So I'm not gonna read it all because it's quite long, but it says that it's no secret that the Mormonism is the fantasy of religion, the science fiction edition of Christianity. I have heard it called with its angels, alternative history, embody God's vision, and so on and so forth. And then he says, I asked Sanderson's if I got the ultimate promise of the religion right. The ultimate promise being, as he understands it, that when humans will, if they're good, and they marry well, and then memorize the passcodes, eventually they pass into the highest kingdom and come into their divine inheritance. They will become gods, in other words, and get their own planets. That's how he's kind of like making the relationship between Brandon Sanderson is a god, and it is totally related to his religion.
Which
and it's like,
it's still ridiculous, because you can say that about any religion then, because it's all fantasy. It can all be turned into a fantasy plot. If you take any religion and Greek mythology and all the different things throughout history, we can turn any of it into a fantasy. you know.
Again, there's
And
so
that's where we
many
writers are
writers.
pulling these things from.
There's so many writers who are ascribed to a religion, who don't follow any religion, and one of the things most of us enjoy is the creation of it, whether it's just the brainstorming of it, or the actual writing it, or the editing and piecing it all together to make sense. We enjoy creating something out of nothing. And that is the most godly like syndrome you can think of. And we all come from different religions, and a lot of us don't subscribe to religion. So this is pretty much a hit piece. Like, this is like, you're boring, you're Mormon, I'm gonna throw trash into this article because I don't agree with you and your success.
And he comes at things very snarky as well. Like the way he comes, like his little examples and the things that he tries to put out there are just so snarky and petty and childish in the way that he approaches the writing of this article. It's distasteful in so many ways.
Yeah. I can't understand how, and he does say his wife is sitting there, and he's bad talking the food, like everything. And so he asks him, you're not a good writer. And it's just like, and he's like, what is Brandon Sanderson supposed to say?
What do you say to that?
Yeah.
What do you say to that? It's just like, you really did this? I'm thinking to myself, not what is Brandon Sanderson's answer, but the fact that you actually did that and thought that that was okay and just kept it rolling.
The other thing that were like, when he's like talking about the writing group and how he's like mocking the group getting together and talking about writing characters' motivation, and if it's something that a reader can follow, is this a readable passage? And I'm like, yeah, that's what we talk about 99% of the time. Like, you definitely don't know what a fiction writer is. It's very clear. And then he just starts asking people questions, personal questions about Brandon Sanderson. And then when he finds one of his, I don't know if it's an illness or what, he's like feeling this overjoyed, like, yes, I found a dirty thing. And it's like,
about
dude,
his
you're
not
just
feeling pain like other
yeah,
people.
like he doesn't feel emotions. He doesn't process emotion, physical and obviously emotional, the same way others. And he was like, literally, he said
Like
that he
he
felt
finally
like
got a
he was on
nugget.
a roller coaster. Like he fed that adrenaline high when he got that information. I'm like, oh no, dude. No, 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 no.
That's so sick at the same, like, if you
No.
think about it.
And
Like,
then kept asking about that in particular when Brandon Sanderson says that's not the thing that he's most comfortable talking about. So he's like, oh, great.
well, let's
just
dig
go on
into
that.
it. Yeah.
Like,
Why don't we put a big spotlight on it even more so?
yeah. So I don't know I don't know how he didn't realize that other people had this same experience, and how his take away from it was so completely different from just about anybody that I've ever heard that's had this experience. Where you go to his house, you meet the team, he takes you out to eat, and you can ask him any questions, and they just talk about stuff. I think Elliot and maybe it was Murphy, because I watched so many videos. I'm sorry, they start to blend. But the ones who talked about how they went through the experience, they said that he would literally talk to you about anything, but he was very excited not just to talk about his writing, but the books that they like to read, who their other favorite authors are, and all of these things that would actually be interesting to people who would want to get to know him. And so I'm like, how did you have such a completely different experience? I understand that going down into the dungeon thing, if you're not expecting it, you might think, oh, well, this is bizarre. I don't understand why it's like the ultimate man cave. Come on. Like if you think about if you're a guy and you're like, I've got millions of dollars to build whatever man cave I want, guys are going to come up with some pretty crazy creative things. And he just happens to have a lot of money to make a bat cave kind of, decked out, full out thing. If you've got that kind of money, you're going to make that man cave dream come true.
Exactly.
And he didn't seem to get that. And I don't know if it's because I'm a wife and I'm mom of sons. I totally get that. If my husband and my kids had millions of dollars to make a man cave, it would be something insane. And they're well, my kids are a little bit gamers. My husband's not really, but it would still be, he'd come up with something crazy. It would be, so but it's crazy to me. They would love it. And it would, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I just don't understand how he doesn't get that. And probably a lot of rich people have their niche place that they've created.
I think it's like what Richard's saying. It is envy. It's envy. At the end of the day, I think he's envious that here is a writer who's probably struggled to be a writer, to do his thing. Yay, he's a writer on Wired and all that stuff. And then here's this other writer he gets to meet and baffled by the success and by a literal cave, right? And so they're baffled by the literal success of this random man that to them doesn't, I guess, appear as much. And they're wondering why they got to be successful. What did they do right that worked out for them? And they got to have all these millions of dollars to do whatever they want. Because I'm sure this guy, if he had a bunch of money, the writer of this article, they would do some crazy stuff as well. And I'm just like, so I think envy definitely played a huge part in what was driving, I think, a lot of this article, because it's just the attacking of everything, of this person's character, personality, likes, dislikes, etc. Like they really went at it, and it was very personal sounding.
Yeah. And he does post the percentage of where he's at on he does so many of the things that the regular of us in the writing community do. Where are we at in our projects? We like to geek out about, the thing that we're thinking about, and what our word count progress is, and where we are with editing. If you guys been following me this past month, the editing, and how badly that went. This is what we do. We get into our community and these are the things that we like to talk about. We're like, oh, I'm drafting, I'm getting all kinds of words. And it's like, oh, I'm editing now, and everything has come to a screeching halt. You know what I mean? It is what we do.
I mean, we sit down with Tiffany and we talk about kidnapping people. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that it's normal for us to discuss as creators of worlds and people and situations and creative people, period.
Yeah, he was trying to do some gotcha journalism, and I think it kind of backfired.
Yes, I think it majorly backfired on him.
Yeah, I think that was the TLDR Brandon left after he made it like his post on Reddit. The ending was like, he came, he tried to get a piece, he found out I'm really boring, there's nothing really to write, and then he stumbled through the article.
Pretty much. Pretty much is what happened.
Yeah.
He ran away. He ran away with imagination, and just like he picked some random sore spots to like expound upon, and it just got. I'm glad. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And if you want to talk about you have some problems with this religion or that religion, then that's fine. Go write an article about that. But I think that you should, when you're writing out articles on a specific person, you should take the merits of that person. What does that person put out there? What do they say? What do and let their own characters speak for themselves.
And also as far as I know, Brandon has never forced anyone into his religion. Like, he keeps most of his interviews, his podcasts, the things like his classes, like he doesn't touch on his religion at all because that's in an individual problem. That's your
Yeah,
own
that's
thing.
private stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I
like, and
feel
to
this.
make like half of the article is him talking about this cultish kind of thing that Brandon has in his perspective because he's a Mormon. And I'm like,
And tying it to fantasy writing, fantasy readers and writers
yeah,
and the genre
yeah,
in general.
yeah. And I'm here like scrolling and reading, and I'm like, this is a new laptop, Esther. This is a new laptop. Don't do anything to your laptop.
Don't hurt the laptop.
Yeah. Or
Yeah,
one
that's the
that you
thing.
want to talk
Focus
about the religion.
exactly. Like focus your article on one specific thing. If that's what you wanted to talk about, then religion should have been then what the article was just solely based on, or the
Yeah,
way, because I'm sure he didn't go up to Sanderson and was like, I'm gonna write an article about you being a Mormon, so let's discuss that. No, he just took the day, took all the information, like you said, he found out that there was nothing, that he was just a regular guy, nothing, crazy. And so he was like, well, I gotta spin this somehow, I guess,
Yeah.
and went for the jugular.
yeah,
He came out looking like a bully for no reason.
yeah.
Absolutely.
And if for the ones that aren't writers, that are just readers, fantasy lovers, and people who are maybe just purely fans of Brandon Sanderson, or the people who like to go to cons, I feel like he just really took a poop on all of these people,
Yes,
because
the
it's
way
not
they
just Brandon Sanderson's
described
fans that
the
do these things. It's all con goers and concert goers, for that matter, who dress up in
yeah,
their favorite person's gear and puts their fake tattoo of their favorite person's. We do crazy things sometimes when we're going to go geek out over whoever thing we're going to go see, and he just kind of made it seem like people who do those kinds of things, ugh.
yeah. Like I totally, like, when I was reading that, I'm like, I don't go to a lot of cons because if I'm gonna be in a close space with a lot of people, I'd rather be at a concert, not at a con. But I dress up for concerts. I go with banners. I go with dolls. I go with light stick. I am that kind of geeky person. So I'm like, I'm here having fun, spending my hard-earned money on the things that I like, and they're pretty, so sue me if
Yeah,
you don't like it.
when Divergent came out in movie theaters, since I was such a fan back then, I went out all dressed in black and dauntless and put those
Love
fake tattoos that they had on
Yes.
of the different. Yeah, it was. I mean,
Let people
this
have
is
fun.
more- let
My
people
goodness.
let people live. Live and let live. Absolutely.
Unless he's menacing, sort of stance. It's one of many. We're only reading one about Brando. I don't know what kind of other articles he writes. So maybe this could be his thing.
Could be.
don't
It
know.
Let
really
me
could. It just
see.
so happened that he messed
'Cause
with the wrong one.
Yeah, he came for probably one of the nicest people in the writing community, who literally does a university class for free and puts it online for free for everyone. Like, he's not the one. He's just
Nope,
like,
that was the wrong one.
he's not the one to
I
go.
mean, it could be like he just tries to be very controversial because I click on, and he's also the senior editor of Wire, so there's not a lot
What?
of people on top of him that, like,
What?
he probably can write whatever the heck he wants. Yeah, he is labeled as the senior
Obviously.
editor of
Interesting.
Wired. So for example, he has a article that says nobody knows how to watch movies anymore.
Oh boy.
What?
Oh boy.
And another title, of course, we're living in a simulation. So I think that's kind of like his brand.
Oh, interesting. Oh, and then he has the power trip of being the senior editor. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, probably he doesn't have that many people
above him on that.
top of him.
Mm.
Yeah. He didn't win over any
Yikes.
followers from this group. No.
No,
And that's
absolutely.
the thing. Even people who aren't even fans of Brandon Sanderson were like, this guy's being a jerk.
Yeah,
I
it's
heard
like
that so many times. He's being a
people were like,
bully.
I don't like Brandon Sanderson's writing, but this was just messed up. Like, this was not. No.
Mm-hmm. Writing like that. Yeah. Yep. He is. So we can address Brandon Sanderson's response. And I did link the response below. It's because Brandon Sanderson does have a Reddit thread. So if anybody wants to see what exactly he said, it is there. And I thought I had it pulled up. But I mean, if you're Jason, you couldn't ask for a more gracious response than this.
Yeah.
And Brandon went out of his way to mention the fans, just to not to go after him, after the Jason. Don't go over there, poking at him. He's like, it's just an incredibly gracious response. And he's like, he also feels sincere in his attempt to try to understand. While he legitimately seems to dislike me and my writing, I don't think that's why he came to see me. He wasn't looking for a hit piece. And this is what Brandon thinks. He was looking to explore the world through his writing. And this is how Brandon Sanderson is choosing to see it. And that he and I are the same. And I respect him for it, even if much of his tone seems quite dismissive of many people and ideas I care deeply about. He just really took a gracious approach to responding, and he's like, in his way, he's like, Jason is one of us. He's a writer.
That's what he just. Yeah, he says he's my colleague. As a writer, he is my colleague.
So I'm just like, a lot of people read the response and were like, yeah, I'm not a fan, but I'm going to go buy all his books. Like, I saw one guy's response was that he's like, this is the guy he went after. I'm going to go buy all his books after reading the response. And I feel like for those of us who have gotten to kind of see Brandon Sanderson's personality by watching the university classes that he puts online, and then he does book signings where he'll just answer everyone's questions, then I feel like that's what Jason got, and that's probably not what Jason wanted when he went in to get and you just get a regular nice guy who likes to talk about lots of geeky stuff, world building,
exactly.
and movies and Game of Thrones and these other things, sci-fi, fantasy, geeky stuff. And Jason just wasn't here for it. But yeah.
And I think it was really nice that Sanderson was like, at least let me say one thing: you, my friends, are not boring or lame. He was really trying to like help the community kind of like heal from whatever they took out of this in a personal matter as well, because it was personal to the community. And that's what he was worried about. He's like, I am worried about the way he treats our entire community, that he didn't just talk about me, but about you. And so, he was trying to both address and like heal the community that felt offended by this, while also while being very, very kind about how we should treat Jason. And
yeah, extremely kind,
very, very kind.
Because I feel like that's hard as a person who's reading to read this. Not only is he this guy going in on, if you're a fan, one of your favorite writers, but then you're like, I've been to these cons. I've been a little bit sweaty because I've been running around all day trying to get to this thing and get to that thing. He's talking about me, because that, you might be like, that was me that one time when I was really, really sweaty. I had to go all the way from this room to that room, all the way across the convention center. You know what I mean? And it's just like, why are some people like this?
Yeah,
Like,
it was a bully. It was a bully response. It was sadly,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely.
so I'm glad that he addressed that part of it too, and was
Mhm.
able to both be gracious to Jason and tell people don't go over there and mess with him, but also let me talk to you.
Yes,
You
exactly.
know?
Yeah.
So, anybody have any final thoughts on that? Because it's the thing that you kind of hope never happens to you. Happens to you.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my, I'd be just like,
Yeah.
I spent an entire day with you, let you meet my spouse, let you meet my kids, hang out with us, and this
This
is what you
is
came away with.
oh, and
That
then
would
to
be,
find it in you to respond decently and not how, you would wish justly to respond.
yeah. I feel like that's the, in a way, I, as someone who is a wife and a mom, that's the part. Like, which is why when we get to our next subject, like if I ever did write something that became big, I would just want to be obscure, crawl away, go live in my big house, build my husband and my kids a fancy man cave for them to have fun in, and just live quietly over here. I don't need anybody coming in with nefarious, intentions writing about me and my family and my fans. Like, I will just be like,
Yeah.
I'll just go away and be happy.
For
I'll be
real.
an avatar, maybe in the writing community. Nobody needs to know who I am.
just I'm not
I don't
real. Just
know.
enjoy my content. Goodbye.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're adults. Yes, I wish people would stop this nonsense too. Just yes,
Yeah.
exactly. It'd be just so nice. Like, I did the thing. I'll just quietly have my little writer friends and just be like, I'm gonna be the unicorn avatar when we go into the writing class. Don't tell anybody.
Gonna enjoy doing the writing. You guys have it. Have fun. I'm gonna be in my corner.
Yeah, it's like,
Gonna
oh
hide
look, the unicorn
here.
has posted their writing progress. I'm like, that's me quiet over here. I don't I don't want anybody writing articles about me.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Even if you already thought you're gonna have us
It's
wondering.
like,
She keeps
I'm a
proving
robot.
that she's
Hi.
there.
True, 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 true.
I say, are you
Oh,
sure we're adults? Yes.
We should
we
be.
are.
I believe so.
Mostly.
Oh,
We are. Are we well adjusted adults? That's debatable, but
well, but we're adults, unfortunately. Yeah,
yeah,
adulting.
age wise and like bones wise, yeah, we are adult. We
For
feel it
sure.
in the bones.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh
in the
yeah.
joint. Every
Yep.
time I move my wrist and it goes that crack, I'm like, yeah, I
It's
feel
like,
that.
Yep. Not spring
oh, when
chicken.
you like stretch and you feel the, you're like, yeah,
Oh, and when
putting
you get
everything back
older,
in place.
yeah, I'm gonna tell you something about getting older. You can do a stretch that feels good. If you do it too long, you're gonna hurt yourself. People are like, oh,
Yes.
what is that?
It's
What
like
is
because you
that
want to
Yes.
stay
about?
in it. You want to stay in it because it felt
Oh
good,
my
but then your muscles lock up, and suddenly you're like,
That
"Oh,
I was stretching and
god.
I hurt myself.
So true. Oh,
Oh,
that's so
for those of
relatable.
you that are still in
sad."
your 20s, these are things you have to look forward to. It's
Welcome,
amazing.
my
Yeah,
friends,
we're
to
definitely
adulting.
not God. We're just old.
We're just,
No. Oh
oh
gosh.
goodness,
All right.
yep.
So Brandon Sanderson opened up his life to this person who had not good intentions. So on that topic, what do you guys feel like
Mm.
authors owe their readers? As far as books, as far as series, and as far as life. So like I said earlier, I got the idea for this from iWriterly. She does a podcast and YouTube, and she posed a question. And I think they did a two-parter where they talked about this one. And one, she talked about what she thinks and what her guests think are owed to the readers as far as books and as far as series, because one famous author has one or two books that they need to finish their series because the TV series has done. Game of Thrones. And the books are never coming.
I felt that. I felt that coming.
It's not gonna happen. It's not happening. I just don't see it coming.
I have heard people be like, "Well, that's another series Brandon Sanderson will finish," and I'm like,
I mean, that would work.
I don't think he wants to do that.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so either.
Oh gosh, this is hard. Because I'm thinking of it both as an author to aspiring author, but then as a passionate reader of a series or something I'm invested in, and expectations as a reader, and then at the same time the realistic aspects of what should we even really expect from authors. They are people, they are human, and where does the line cross with that? That is
So I come slightly differently. So I come as a writer, obviously, because I have my own life, even though I share a little too much sometimes. But I come as a reader who barely never saw themselves in a book. And I think that's one of the things. Hey, Barrett.
Hi.
I think that's
good.
How
You're
are
just in
you?
time for the second topic.
Great.
Yes.
I was like, I'm so late.
And I think that like representation, it's something I don't demand and I don't think I'm owed, but I do search for it. And you might get more of my loyalty in time and in money if you cater to that. But that's me as a reader who, again, doesn't have that many books who have that I can see myself in. Both in English and Spanish, so that is even a problem in both languages.
And I find this interesting what JC said, but even as a reader, I don't think I'm owed anything other than a good story. Yeah, but what if you don't think it's a good story, that they didn't deliver you a good story? What do you feel owed then? Like, how do you feel after that?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the writer failed you in any way? Do you feel like you now hold certain expectations that are not met, or you had certain expectations that were not met? So how do you move forward with reading from this author anymore?
Yeah. So
Yeah, I feel like if I'm as a reader, if you've got a series and I'm enjoying your series, and then you don't finish it, and you're just like, I'm not going to come back to it. I don't know if I need an explanation because it's your life. You don't have to finish it if you don't want to. But will that taint me going into another series of yours? I will probably try to wait until the series is done before jumping into another series, because I'm one of those, I don't like to be left hanging. But at the same time, I understand as a writer, I understand life stuff happens. Things happen. Not sometimes things aren't going to be able to be finished. You're not in the right headspace to write a particular story. A story was something that you were doing at a particular time in your life, and you're just not there anymore, or it has changed meaning for you. There's a lot of reasons why people stop writing a series. But as someone who needs the series to be complete, that would just mean that for your next series, if you say it's going to be 3 parts, I'm going to wait for all 3. And I kind of do that with a lot of writers anyway. Like if I know you're like this dude who's going to like, it's going to be written, I don't really worry about it. If it's a book that I'm interested in, and you know, I read the first one and I'm like, I like it, I'll go ahead. But other people, I'm
Patrick
like,
Ruffus.
Yes, other people, I'm
He's
like,
plenty controversial, so
I might be like, I might wait till you're done. But I've done this with TV series as well, and that's gone and bit me in the butt, because I watched like with Supernatural, where I watched the first couple episodes. I thought, oh, this show's great. It'll be maybe 3 seasons. I'll just binge it one day, and then 15 seasons later, I'm like, too late. Too late.
Yep.
I'm never gonna get caught up. Oh well, I missed that boat.
I also find it interesting what Eva said, which was that readers don't owe authors loyalty either. So
Mm-mm.
that's interesting
No,
too when you look at it
I
from both
think
angles.
I think the like owning someone like something, it's the word that kind of like makes it very controversial
Mm,
because no one owes anyone anything to anyone. Like just basic respect because we're human beings. That's it. But now, like, do we should we not do we should we have some considerations for the readership, and those the reader should have a consideration to the author who's creating their entertainment? That to me is kind of like a less trigger question, because it's true, we don't
Yeah.
own anyone anything
Yeah.
mm-mm.
So you don't. Yeah.
from either
And
side of the street.
yeah, and I think it's interesting when you hear people say, "Oh yeah, the writer does." If you start a series, you owe I'm like, you really think that they owe someone to finish
No.
the series? What if they can't? You know,
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you do? You
Mhm.
know, if they can't, how can they owe it to you? But at the same time, I do understand as a reader wanting to have that thing fulfilled. As a writer, I'm like, yeah, again, what if I can't? What if I can't for whatever reason, you know, can't finish this particular thing? You know,
So does the
it is
author owe the readers an explanation?
Well, and
that.
that's
Go ahead.
yeah, kind of what Eva's saying. You're owed something you're not is entitlement. Because all I kept thinking when I was
Mm,
hearing this is kind of like, well, that's pretty presumptuous that you think that someone owes you anything at all. But that really speaks to the person that's saying it, right? Like
mm,
you're coming from a place of a lot of privilege. If you're like, oh, well, you really should have finished that book series for me. It's like,
mm.
Yeah.
um, but I don't know. I mean, that's hard. I don't know. I don't like the word "oh."
I think that's
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
But
Yeah,
trigger
that's
right
and
there.
that's
the
just the
thing that
word
I
that they
don't.
use, so that's the word that
but what's funny about
I
that?
think when it is,
Do
oh, it is a little weird.
do all of us up here who create not feel a little bit like we owe our audiences when we miss? Because I know I do,
I do.
and we do to an extent. So I'm sure authors feel the same way about any part of themselves that they share. So as far as the life part, that's up to the individual creator, author, whoever.
Mhm.
But the moment you open that door a little bit, um, I don't know. Do you owe it? Because I let myself feel guilty all the time when I miss videos.
So
Mm.
I'm gonna get very real, very raw with
Oh,
everyone, and I think Regina is the only one who has access currently to my coffee membership, so she probably saw the post. I stopped updating Marina the Vampire because I was pretty much writing deadline to deadline. And it stopped being enjoyable. It was massive. Like I was pretty much walking to a burnout. And it's just, if I'm not enjoying it, they're not gonna enjoy it.
Mm.
And I thought, well, I can just stop and not say anything, but I'm like, I should be considerate to them and their time and their money and let them know, hey, this is what's happening. This is the timeline that I'm thinking, and this is where you should expect it to come back. Do I owe them that because they're paying me? Not necessarily, because they can refrain from the subscription whenever they want to. But do I think it was considerate of me because of the relationship we have built? Yes. Because I owe myself my health, not to my readership. I own it to myself. Because if I don't take care of myself,
Mm.
there's gonna be eventually a moment that they're not gonna have a story, they're not gonna have an explanation, not gonna have anything.
It's true.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, what can I do that feels right by both sides? And they've been very nice. They're like, yeah, go ahead and take your time. Go Do you? We
Yeah.
can wait. We'll probably reread what we have. There's plenty episodes. And I'm like, good. We're on the same page. See you later.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't need it to do that, but it was considerate
Mhm.
Yeah,
of me.
I agree, and I feel like a lot of us would be that way. If I had a series that was going and I had to stop it for whatever reason, I just would let people know.
Yeah.
But if I can't do it, I'm not going to try and like force something that's just not happening because it's not going to be good. It's not going to be good for me
Yeah.
mentally, emotionally. It's not going to be good for me creativity wise, and it's not going to be good for what you're going to get. You're not going to get the best product. You're going to get this thing that I forced myself to do because I had to do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, then I don't want you to pay for something that you're not getting at the same time. So totally understand that.
Yes, and thank you, Labyrinth. That was very sweet. Thank you. I have a couple incomplete fictions. I'll let the readers down.
Yep.
Fiction. That I see.
Yeah, I feel like fan fiction writers and readers might be used to this because when it's fan fiction, your author could just drop off the face of the earth. And
you do get some really nice people who will be like, I cannot finish, like I need to get offline, or I'm getting a job that I shouldn't be offline. Here is my outline so you know how it ends. And that's it. Because I have plenty of fan fictions like that they just, because of the country they are in, like being a fanfic writer and liking the things they like are frowned upon and they could affect their jobs. So they just completely close everything. They're not going to keep writing, but they're like, I don't want to leave you guys hanging. This is what I have planned. Now you know what happens. Bye.
Yeah. I think I've heard of that happening too.
I love you, Esther. Bye.
Yeah, they're pretty much like bye. I mean, sadly there were some friendships that I couldn't keep because of that. They pretty much disappeared from the online space, and I'm like, I don't have you live at the other side of the world. I don't have a way to contact you. They're like closed their blogs, they shut down their emails like nothing. I completely lost those friendships.
Yeah. And I think that's hard, especially when it comes to when it's all online. It's like if someone's like social media is like draining me, I've got to leave it, then you're just like, oh,
but how will I?
Are you okay?
Bye, I will miss you.
It's like I don't know what else to do. But...
See, it's interesting because with going back to with readership, it's interesting because we want them to feel something with our art. We want them to feel invested in our characters, in our worlds. So I think it's a matter of people not knowing where to draw the line between, yes, you can feel these emotions very strongly about my art, but to feel you are owed anything because of that as well, that's where there needs to be a line in the sand. Because it's true, no one's owed anything, but there is certain level of expectations that we, especially with something that we're giving to people, and it's the whole giving and receiving take, and just how we approach, when it comes to giving your art to someone and how you want them to take it in, but then. So it's kind of hard to I guess people don't know how to distinguish between the two, how to be respectful of what their expectations are, but still be, in love and passionate with your, whatever you're presenting them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I think where I might draw a line is on identities, especially minorities. Like, you don't owe me to be the same identity, but you, as someone in the minority, you owe me research at the very least. Because if you put a product that will harm me, then that is a direct link. Like, at least research is on when you are dealing with minorities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I like to know that you
you
tried.
definitely can't harm people if you don't do your due diligence.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still harm people even when you do sometimes, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
True.
something we've
Yeah.
talked about here a lot with that topic for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But at least try. Like,
Yes. And
at
I
least-
think
Mhm.
therein lies the difference. If you're like, I did this research and I talked to these people and I really did try, then at least I know you actually went in with good intentions and just it was hit and miss here and there. Versus I didn't care. I just liked this character, so I wrote it how I
Word
wanted.
vomit.
It. Like,
Yep.
Yeah. Or I just have a friend with that, or my neighbor is so and so, and I'm like, no, because then I can just write whatever stupid thing about white people and say, like, I'm surrounded by white people. I can write whatever the heck I want.
And that's
No,
the thing.
that's
That's the thing, because I've grown up in on military bases, so very multicultural, and I can tell you, we as Black people do this too. When we get really comfortable with you, you're going to see and hear things that we're just comfortable with you. So you're going to see and hear things. And I've grown up with a lot of Puerto Rican people, Mexican and Filipino people as well. And so I see and hear things that me being Black, I know that this is for the house. And I'm not going to
and it doesn't leave the house.
I'm not repeating this stuff. This is for
Bubble
in the house stuff.
And you don't put it and you don't put it in a book either.
Oh gosh.
I do not put it in a book. Because someone's invited you into their home and they've gotten comfortable with you and they might joke around with you about their culture or something. That's for you. Don't violate that by saying, "Oh, but my one Black friend said."
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh gosh.
No.
The one
It's like, I had a Puerto Rican boyfriend. I'm like, so what?
Good for you.
I have plenty too. So.
the one check.
I
Got one.
did. I lived the life. I did the one thing in life. That's it.
No.
I'm good now for the rest of my day.
You must still do your research, please.
Oh.
Oh goodness.
Yeah, that I do think, right? Authors do own minorities. Like, do your effort. Try as much as you can, even if you don't land it. Just try. It could very much save people's lives. So try.
Now, the only thing, and I don't know if people said this in comments because I came into this topic a little late, but the only thing I think authors owe readers is to check their fandoms or check the people that love them and follow them. Because I have seen authors, especially on the evil Twitter, who act like they have no control of what their fans say and do about other authors, for example, and that's not a cool look, because I do think authors owe their readership responsibility when they know they're out there acting a fool. The one I can think of off the top of my head is Sarah Cannon had someone, what was it, like a year ago? There was a lady who accused her of like stealing a message or something. You guys remember this? I think we talked about it on Authortubers actually. And anyway, this woman's fandom kind of like came for Sarah Cannon online. But to Sarah Cannon's credit, she did this whole video. And at the end of it, she said, I want to see none of you in her comments on her Twitter. Like, that is not what this is about. I am informing you what's going on because she's out there saying this, but do not go out and retaliate, I guess. Or what do they call it? Review bomb. Go and like review bomb. None of that. So that is the one thing, the one caveat to this topic that I would say is I do think that when it's my turn to have tens and tens of readers, I will say to those tens and tens when they go out to defend my honor, like, calm it down. Like, that's what I'm here for. That's not what this is about. So the only thing I would say is that's the one thing I think authors owe is some responsibility for the people that listen to you. You have a daily pulpit. If you have a Twitter account or an Instagram or whatever, use it. If you know people are being irresponsible, use it.
You set the standard for your community. If you are the head of that community, you set the standard. I mean, if you're out going after reviewers, your audience is going to do the same thing.
Exactly. Why wouldn't they? I mean, so I know I saw some people say the no review. Obviously, don't review spaces are not for authors for sure. But like even if your readership is out there going after someone who reviewed your book badly or whatever, you know, then I
Just
think
ask
you
them,
have
don't do that. It's not hard. Just say, please don't do that.
Yeah.
They're entitled to their opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I mean, whether we like it or not, we set the tone for our communities. So
right.
if we don't set a good tone, all hell will break loose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh yeah. True, Labyrinth. True. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Yep. That's true. And that's the thing. As long as you've kind of done your best and told folks, hey, I'm not about that. That's not me. Then when someone goes out there and does it in your name, you can say, whoa, that's not me.
I told them not to.
Yeah. I spoke to my
That's what
community, and this was a no.
Yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't approve of that. I appreciate. I can appreciate that.
Love her so much.
I mean, I may not go after you, but I may have receipts for
Esther
weeks
will have
and months
receipts.
and years to come.
Esther will come out.
Got him.
So just
I'm not gonna go after
this
you, but you did
this is
say.
not an April's Fool. I'm not saying
No.
it as an April's Fool. This is just
I know. We know you.
facts.
Got the receipts for all of us too. Like I don't even keep my own receipts. Esther's warehousing half of mine. So it's like
like when I saw your life gone, and I'm like, that's okay. I still have it.
Wait, which? Oh, yeah.
Your life being sucks to be that person, and it's still around. It's not gonna go anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, we know what was said still.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's for books and series and all of those things, but especially for us as creators online, what about your life? Do you feel like you owe your audience or your readers parts of your life? Because for me, I feel like I don't owe anybody anything, but I will give you what I feel comfortable with.
Yes.
And I feel like that's going to vary from person to person. Sometimes it is a concern that, oh, well, if you told us this, why can't you tell us that? For any author who's maybe doing an article, having an article written about them, if they mention something and then people feel like, oh, well, now you have to tell us all about this thing. And they're like, no, I said what I wanted to say about it. And that's it. Do you feel like if you give them a little bit, you have to give them more? Or do you feel like, no, I'm gonna cut that off. I show you what I'm comfortable with. I tell you what I'm comfortable with. And that's as much of my life as you get. Because some people are all the way out there, whether they're famous or not famous, they're on the social medias.
I was like, Morgan Lee and I share a lot about our crones. So I'm like, Morgan and I are the two that are like, we've talked about some things. On
I go by this saying. I am a slave of my words and the owner of my silence. So that's, if I don't want to be tied by my words, I'm not going to say anything. So that's how I decide what I'm going to share and what I'm not going to share, whether it's online or offline. Like this is how I process every single interaction I have. With my friends, with my family. Like, I tell my mom pretty much everything, but there's some things that I'm like, do I want her to know this? Do I want this to be hanging over my head? No? Okay, we're not gonna say anything.
Yeah, I believe
that's how I live.
Same. I kind of go, the boundaries I use in real life, I try to use as well as I would. And there's different levels of where people stand in your life and how much you want to give and how much you want out there, period. That's going to be forever online kind of a deal. So, I feel like I owe people anything? No. But I try to be considerate of certain things. So I try to open up about certain things. But then at the same time, I do hold boundaries about how much I'd be willing to share. Because that's just, you give people so much, then too much, and
Yeah.
people are
how you
natural human.
pull those things back. Like,
Yeah.
I think I Write Early is how talks about how now she doesn't show her kid at all anymore.
Mhm.
But there, that feeling that people might be like, well, why can't we see this, or what are you hiding, or something like that. And but she's like, these are the boundaries that I have now, and people have to accept that. And I kind of feel the same way. And with my kids and my husband, I leave it up to them, and they're like, nah, yeah, no, nah. So I'm like, okay, then no, especially as the kids get older, I'm like,
Mhm.
they can decide for themselves. But I'm not going to do that for them,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Because
And
human curiosity is huge, so they will
Mhm.
humanity will take everything you give them. They
Right.
will happily suck you dry.
Right.
So you can't really go according to like what they want, because if it was up to them, they'd want it all.
they
So
know
you
ev-
do
they
have
want
to
to know
make that
everything.
judgment. You have to make the judgment of where you cross the line and where you put that boundary wall up,
Yeah.
because they'll always want more. If you can give it to them, they'll want it.
Yeah, I think,
And
and
the more
Jennifer
you give them, what they want.
Brown at 826. Yeah, just so I can respond real quick. Totally agree with you. You're absolutely right. And I'm teasing a little bit there. What I will say is, I think definitely of our little circle of online friends, I'm probably the most open about my family. I show a lot of my life, but
Yeah.
I don't. And what I mean by that is I curate it a lot. So like what you get is what I decide you're going to see, right?
Mhm.
And occasionally, like when I'm doing karaoke or something, Ricky's going to come in and there's going to be a real moment where you're going to see my life, but that's not planned, right? And I do have boundaries, even though I think people don't think I have them. I'm pretty open about stuff, but I think that I know where those lines are and what I'm not going to cross. But to go back to what I said before, you're not going to talk about anal fistulas online and get emails from people from Thailand about that, and have deep conversations about their poo, and not feel very close to people. You know what I mean? Like, you're just not. It's just there's never a time where someone's like sending some of the photos I've seen that are not like those kind of photos, but people being like, hey, is this rash normal, and all kinds of things on Remicade and other stuff, where you're like, not a doctor, definitely can't tell you this, and here are all your photos of things I never wanted to see. But I'm glad I did that, because I think, at least for the awareness part, you're absolutely right. I have a lot of people from all over the world who will send me really personal stuff, really personal stuff that's hard to talk about and uncomfortable a lot of times. And the only reason they do that is because I've put so much of myself and that stuff out there. And Ricky, so one of my earliest videos that I did was Ricky and I sitting down and talking about what it was like being diagnosed. And I mean, like, graphic stuff. So, you know what I mean? But that opened that door, and it made it okay for them to come to me and say, hey, here's my situation, and is this normal? And would you do this or do that? And it's opened some doors for me with, like, AbbVie was my sponsor that I worked with in 2022, that I wouldn't have even been hired by them if not for the videos I did. Right. So it's like, I don't know. I'm glad I did it. I wouldn't change that. So anyway, but my mom would share way too much. She would say, you put way too much out there. And I'm like, and yet you can't wait to get in a video. So
which she was.
See, this is why I position my desk in very specific sections of this room, because there's time for me to stop the camera and mute myself when my mom comes, because my mom hates, and like, she
like
doesn't want
Ricky's dad.
anything online
Right.
of her, like, hates it with a passion. And on top of that, she hates her picture being taken. She hates being recorded on video. So I'm like, okay, I have to situate myself and do things that I will I'm sure that it's not her. And sometimes I cut and I have to redo clips. She was like, I wasn't loud. And I'm like, yeah, but the camera can pick someone is like going about their lives, and I know you hate that. Like, I don't think you want hundreds of people knowing that you got into the bathroom at this exact moment. And she's like, oh no. And I'm like, exactly. So I'm just going to go and redo the clip.
It's like sometimes the camera can hear that toilet flush, and it's just like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's like, oh,
Now
redo.
you all know.
Yeah.
Rewind.
It's just like,
Yeah.
stop, let's re-record it.
Yeah, and I think anyone who's streamed with me will know when my kids come in, they don't want to be on camera. My husband doesn't want to be on camera. But when I'm on a backstage, you'll hear them ask, are you live? If I'm not live, they might come sit on the couch or play with Loki.
Yeah.
And that's their choice. I think they feel like if I'm comfortable enough just hanging out on a backstage with someone, then they're like, okay, we're not recording. I'm not going to be recorded. Mom's not going to embarrass me. You know,
they
I'm,
feel safe.
I'm an old, you know, so there's levels for them too. So you might, you know, get a little glimpse of them in the background, you know, but that's not always, you know, and it's never when I'm online. And even though I might mention that people might be like, well, you mentioned that you have 4 kids, so why can't we know their names? And I'm like, well, no. No. And people are like, well, everything's online. You can find things. I'm like, that's you going digging. If that's what you're going to do,
I'm not going to make it easier for you.
Out there. That says about you.
Yeah.
If you feel the need to go digging, looking for people, that's a you thing. You know, not a me thing, but I've set my boundaries, and I think people are pretty clear. And I think if you go to anyone's videos, you'll see what their boundaries are. And even if someone has a boundary one day, and then they're like, well, 3 months later, they're like, I don't want to do that anymore. Yet I feel like you should respect that this has changed. They feel differently about this thing, and let them do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the things this is kind of like a tangent, like all of this content about family and kids being the content of it. I'm like,
I have thoughts.
This not only this has a deadline, because the moment they don't want to be in camera, that's your content is gone.
Yep, your content's gone.
It's just like you're creating a parasite relationship with so many people you don't know, with someone who doesn't have the skill set to protect themselves. Because honestly, parents are not with their kids every single time. So it is just like, as people that are online, we're not public figure yet, but we are very much online. So it's like, I need to think of situations where people who are important to me, who has no say on me doing videos and doing lives and streaming on Twitch and doing all this crazy shenanigans, that I don't put them on uncomfortable situations and situations they might not know how to get out of. And I'm just like, I see those kind of content, I'm like, I'm here, a very small author here in a small island, trying to figure out how not to get her mom in her videos, and there's people here recording their kids. I'm like, what is this?
I'm taking my kids to school. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
That's a school with the name. No. But yeah, it's a big industry. People like it, and sometimes family content is fun. You know, it's like the day in the lives of. But yeah, it's like, some it's no, because then what do you do when that content?
Well, and isn't it's a lot like stage moms, which you know, at least they're getting paid. I'd want to make sure whatever these kids are getting on YouTube, they're getting paid. Ricky actually knew a really big YouTube family channel, people from Southern Illinois, who had to shut down because the parents divorced and the mom said no anymore. And the dad wanted to keep it going because he was making like $100,000 a year. And so anyway, we watched that play out, and that was fascinating. And she ended up getting it all taken down, the whole channel.
Yeah.
So because
It can go just like that. Yep.
go like that.
Yep. I mean, I don't know how people aren't more concerned, but I know I'm concerned even when it comes to Loki. I'm like, he's the dog. He can't talk to anybody. He doesn't have a social media. But I can't get him off the camera. Like
right.
it is the craziest thing. When I started talking backstage, he was sleeping. As soon as he heard me talking and saw the laptop and the lights, he wants to get up and he's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, I created a monster with this dog. I have to kick him out. I'm like, it's not everything is gonna be for him, but the shorts are fun. But he can't tell anybody where he lives. People can't contact him. You know what I mean? Like with my kids, it's a whole different thing. You know, like I'm like, no.
It's different when
It
like
makes me a little nervous.
I mean,
and a lot
I
of
do
times
worry
people,
someone will take Sam, and I'm like, no.
I do too. Man, he is Loki's locked up with
don't
all
take
of,
my
all of
dog.
the things. Loki has all the things. I was watching Jess Owens one day, and she said her mom was worried about her dog because she's like, what if someone takes your dog? Because her dog is also very, very popular.
Nigel.
Yeah.
Nigel, he's adorable. Loki is a fan of Nigel's. I'm just gonna tell you, when Nigel's on the screen, Loki is like up there watching, just like he watches.
He's like my friend.
He does. He's like my friends. He thinks all the Authortube dogs are his friends. But yeah, I'm like, I worry about my dog, and I'm like, it's funny to hear other people also worried about their dogs too. It is a thing. It's a concern. So yeah, I don't show where we drive around. People know that we go into the big city on occasion. So if you've heard me say, then you know what big city that is that we go to, but it's not where we live. But other than that, no. Like, I don't know. I would be heartbroken. Like, it would just be the worst. But he's on lockdown. Like it's immediately when he's outside, my phone's like, boop, Loki is not near you. I'm like, where is he?
Yeah, like if someone takes my dog, I'm gonna John Wick.
I mean,
in a second. Like that's my puppy. She's not a puppy at all, but no.
I know
she's mine.
There are babies.
They're your babies.
I'm like, first of all, mine's too heavy to just pick up and run. Number two, she never gets about more than 3 feet from me or Rick. So it's like, good luck.
Like, have fun trying. Yeah, Zara says my mom used to be scared of me sharing Riley, but I know.
Oh, 11 tomorrow. Happy birthday.
Oh my goodness! Happy birthday, Riley!
Happy birthday to Riley! That's
she's an April baby.
Yes, Riley is the cutest too. I absolutely adore Riley.
Cute.
I need to
So I said we weren't going to be but an hour, and we always go over. Oh, is she? I kicked Loki out. Y'all heard he was like, let me talk to everybody. I'm like, no one's here to talk to you. This one's not yours, Loki. I will record you later.
You'll have your time in the sun, friend.
You will have your moment. When we do our writing streams, I'll let you hop up. And my the first thing that my kids made me do when they realized that Loki wanted to be on is that they got him a collar or the tag. So when people see, they're like, oh, are you showing your address? I'm like, no, it says my email and it says call my mama. It's got my email address. So that's what's on the back of Loki's thing. It's not our phone number, not our address.
I guess we don't have one for Briley.
My kids thought about that. Like
Ricky did same. Ricky did that for Briley's. It's a tag that just has her name, and then on the other side is for her chip. Like it doesn't. None of it has our identifying information on it because he was worried I'd catch it in a photo or a video. I mean, that's literally why he did it that way. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
So. Trust me, we think about these things. It's just that when it's a child, especially when a child gets old enough to have a phone and things, I don't know if you're an influencer. I don't know how you keep people from contacting them or getting other information. It gets a little bit scary. So live stuff, I tend to just keep it separate. I share what I'm comfortable sharing, and that's it. And I'm a lot like Esther. Even with my mom, I like filter out what I tell everybody just because I'm like, oh, that's gonna make my mom nervous. I have like my sister. My sister knows everything before I know it. I'm like, how did you know I wasn't feeling well? She goes, I know you're not feeling well. You know what I mean? So everybody has that person that just knows absolutely everything about you. But I'm like, even when I don't feel well, sometimes like, do I tell my friends I don't feel well? And sometimes I have to, because if I'm on a live stream and I look like this, I gotta like, guys, I'm sorry, I have a migraine, but I want to be here, and a lot of times people are like, you don't have, I'm like, no, I need to get things done. So I'm here, you know what I mean? But I think we all kind of like feel out, how much do we say? Do we say how bad it is? You know what I mean? And I always tell people, if you're not feeling well, don't worry about showing up. Trust me, it's fine. But I know how I feel at the same time when it's me.
Yeah, she doesn't heed her own advice. This is how I turn mamming people around.
I'm like, it's only the flu. I'm okay.
It's only the flu. She's like dragging herself on the floor.
Yeah, at a small tangent. It was funny last night for Laura's? Portia was like, that's what mamas do. And I'm like, I'm not a mother. And apparently I got grown out adults kids now.
Mamas. Go take care of yourself.
Me too. I'm like, don't stare
Sarah,
at the screen.
I know. I was saying that too.
And it's like, wait, you're on both of the accounts, Sarah?
she's sneaky,
right?
Because like they're like one after the other in the chat.
I imagine one's on a device and one's on the computer.
Yeah, one's on the computer. Yep.
Sarah. Sarah.
So then the other option in the chat is being near to the loud.
Near to the loud. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. It has been more than an hour. We do get chatty and we can talk for long amounts of times. But I just think we weren't going to keep everybody too long. I really enjoyed the subjects that we had today. And I felt like they kind of tied in really well.
Yes.
But yeah, I like I said before, if by some bewildering miracle I became famous, I just would be leery about anybody writing an article about me. I just want to be that person that just kind of like crawls into obscurity and goes away. Lets my husband and kids build the man cave and just live our lives quietly over here.
I love Eva's comment.
Yeah.
Fun chat on this day of our Savior, Rando
Sando. To tie it all full circle, yes.
Oh my God.
I'm taking dinner first and like talk to my husband because I've been at work all day, and then I will email them to you tonight.
Yes.
I will look through and have Ricky help me pick our best.
Yes, I just picked out a few.
So. And I'm like, I have videos too, ma'am. I'm like, if you think
I was like, I asked her, I said, you want videos?
I'm like, you want
video today.
How many gigs have you got room for?
Oh my God. This timer is going to be so distracting. This timer is just going to be.
I know. The timer is just going to be us watching
all the
each other's bags.
Yeah, just call it a pet video and just put a timer in the corner.
Put the timer like this big in the corner.
Well, it's like I have so many of this kind of pictures, and I'm like, which one do I send? Because she's so precious.
Oh gosh.
I don't know, Eva. I don't know.
Maybe. Okay. Well, I think if we get out of here, the maybe might be a yes.
After dinner, we'll see. We'll see. We're in that Camp Nano feel. We'll see.
That's right. My gosh, it's April. I forgot it's April.
Yeah, happy April 1st.
Yeah.
April 1st. Happy Poetry Month to our poets out there. Happy Camp Nano for doing the Camp Nano. And just happy April, because April is spring.
Yes. Yes,
April
indeed.
is my birthday month.
It is your birthday
month. She's
month.
got a birthday stream coming up. Speaking of which, let's go
Yeah.
ahead and anybody want to do some quick outros and let people know where they can find you and what things that are exciting that you have coming up?
Oh, should I go? Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you should go, Des. Go ahead. We'll clockwise it around.
I was like, wait.
Yes, tell me.
I was like, who's going first? I didn't know. Hi, friends. You can find me at Coffee Reading Writing on YouTube. I'm over on Twitch, twitch.tv/Desiree M. Ortega. And that's pretty much where you can find me. So nice to see y'all.
Yeah, I'm Esther Marie Andujar. I am a Puerto Rican writer aspiring to be a hybrid author. I will be streaming tomorrow on Twitch at 6 p.m. and I will be streaming Fridays during the month of April at 8 p.m. on my channel, Esther Marie Andujar. What else? I will probably be at This's Digital House, at Nia's Digital House. Like, I'm all over the place. Check the community tab for the calendar. My birthday is the 12th. I will have a all-day Twitch stream. I think I'm going to start at 10 a.m. Eastern. So come and find everything about me. Everything like Buffy the Vampire, Lord of the Rings, K-pop, K-dramas. Come and learn how crazy I am.
We love it.
Love it.
Spirit.
Okay, me. First of all, happy birthday, Esther, on the 12th. I can't wait. I will join you at some point that day after work. I will be there. Christian, happy birthday to you as well. I'm seeing it's your birthday month too. So happy to know.
Birthday. And Ty.
Love.
Yeah,
and Ty too. And Riley.
Look at
Bring it
that.
on. Bring it on. I love all of this Aries energy. So so much is explained in that fire.
Very strong.
So okay. All I have coming up is Authortubers React, Authortube Karaoke, which is this is the first Saturday, next Saturday, and then Writers Room next Tuesday. Wait, no, is this the first Tuesday? No, 2 Tuesdays. Haha, 2 Tuesdays from Tiffany. Other than that, I have just vlogs happening, and I don't know if I'm somewhere. Yay! If I'm not, well. Thanks for having me, Nia. This is always fun. Love you, ladies. And I miss Charliee and Zara. We'll see them soon.
Yes. And you're on my channel. I'll be here Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. during writing sprints. Scripting the book is on the 16th. Richard is going to be our guest, and we're going to do Bullet Train. Coming up, we've got Crazy Rich Asians, which I believe Des is going to try and do that one with us. And Shadow and Bone, I believe Zara's going to try and do that one with us.
I know she's doing that one. What are you talking about?
No.
Game of Thrones is our summer big shebang. Read as much as you want, watch as much as you want. Same thing with Shadow and Bone. If you can't read the whole thing, don't worry about it. Just come chat with us about it. And we're trying to work out where we can have Adrian join us for the summer Game of Thrones one. They're huge fans, so that'll be really exciting. So that's
Quickly,
the things that
because 3 of the 6 are in the screen, so and people are asking for it. We do have a Discord that has private channels for each of us, and it does have a main plaza for everyone to commiserate. We are also having a camp cabin, just kind of like to have the cabin vibes. I'm gonna go and put the invitation. Please don't. I will highly recommend not to take it out of the community because we kind of like want to know who are we inviting. And do check the rules and check the self-roll channel. Anything that you need, just add me at Discord. I am ridiculously available on Discord, so I'm almost always there to answer. I have very little boundaries with Discord, so enjoy.
So be aware. Yes, go ahead and drop a link for that for anyone who wants to.
There it is.
Right there it is. Is this one a permanent or an expired one?
An expired one.
Okay, excellent. So you guys are more
it's
than
going to
welcome.
expire. It's not expire now. It's going to expire.
It will. You got some time. So if you miss it today or you can't get to it today, you've got a couple days, I think, that you can
Yeah.
you can use it. Yeah, and I think that's it. Oh, I'm on Twitch, so I'll be doing Twitch every Monday and Friday, alternating Wednesdays and Sunday nights for some watch parties because I got a lot of stuff I gotta watch, guys. I gotta freshen up. I haven't seen Game of Thrones in forever. I'm gonna watch Shadow and Bone. So come hang out with me over there. And my friends that are over on Twitch, come hang out with all of us. We're okay. We're kind of fun.
You know.
We're not bad.
I make people watch Asian dramas on Thursday, so
You have me invested. I don't know how this happened, but
right
now I need to know what's going to happen next. So,
it was hilarious on Thursday. Everyone was like, "No!"
like, I'm like, I'll stay up till midnight. Can we see what's happening?
what happens next?
But I will wait
That's
with
funny.
everybody else to find out. So yeah, we have a good time. Come join us. Thank you guys for hanging out with us here and being so engaging in the topics and letting us know your thoughts. We will be back again on the last Saturday of April to do it again. We might take a couple months off for the summer. I will let you know after I talk to my people to find out what they want to do.
Summer vacation?
I know. I always say that. Do we ever? I think we have once. I think we took 1 month off one time.
We did.
We did one time.
That's okay.
One time.
Yeah.
So we might do that again. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. You're awesome. And if you missed Loki today, here is your dose of Loki. Bye.